Hello and welcome back, everybody. In this lecture, we want to talk to you about communications and leadership, as well as how those two things really fit together. As a service owner, you must provide different perspectives on your service. It's pretty obvious. This may be in a periodic meeting where you have time to prepare, or an impromptu meeting where you have to switch context very quickly. The perspectives that you represent and the audience you represent that too must become second nature. Knowing what those perspectives are is important. Knowing how they're different is very important. And knowing what's relevant in each context is likely the most important of all. To get yourself in the right frame of mind, take a minute to think about yourself as the CEO, owner, or executive of an organization. 1 minute, you're selling your product or service to a very important customer, or maybe even an internal organization. 5 minutes later, you walk down the hall as your CEO, and you're in another meeting talking to investors about funding a new project to enhance that same product or service that you were talking to that customer about. Think of what you would say to that customer or the consumer versus what you would say to those investors as you walk down the hall. Let's start today by thinking about the three main audiences that we have. Think of yourself as a captain of three teams. As the captain, you need to set the tone, you need to provide the direction, and most of all, you need to put the needs of that team before the needs of yourself. The first team you lead is team consumer. When they think about that service that they're consuming, your picture is on that thought homepage. Your next team is team plan, build, run. The internal teams that help you to bring your service to life. They trust you to guide them in the right direction. Lastly, as hard as this one is to believe, in the context of your service, you are an executive on team leadership. This team trusts you with their resources. Let's just spend a few more minutes brainstorming on what these teams need. Some of you will be tasked with supporting services that serve other employees in your organization. The perspective you'll need to represent with them is how you can help them do their job better. Others will support services that serve your customers. Your perspective with them is slightly different. With them, you'll represent your service, but you're also representing your organization. Take the time to understand what your consumers want and develop a perspective that puts them first. And that's the main thing on the consumer side. Everyone will deal with teams that helps you plan, build, and run your service. Planners want accuracy and detail so that they can execute. Operators want to make sure that everything performs as designed. Besides those two groups, there are many others that will help you plan, build, and run your service. One way to think about developing your perspectives as parts of these teams is to take the time to understand their roles and their responsibilities and include that in the perspective that you provide. Basically, put yourself in their shoes. Executives have a broad vision. Your perspective must take that into consideration. Assume you'll be challenged when you ask for money because they have other places to spend that money. Maybe you take the time to understand what those other places are. Understand that they will question value and want to understand more about the approach that you're taking to derive that value. Know that they will want to be ensured that you know and you understand your consumers very well, better than anybody else. Your perspective here should be one of empathy and understanding. You know your business and you have the answers to make their jobs easier. That brings us to the conclusion of this lecture. Of course, this doesn't cover all of the perspectives that you'll need to represent as a service owner, but we do feel that it touches on the three main general areas. We thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you in the next lecture. Bye.